Commission on Women. We are kicking off September 22nd monthly meeting, and I would like to go ahead and call our meeting to order. The first item up for agenda is the approval of minutes from the August 25th meeting. And did everyone get an opportunity to review those? Do we have any issues, questions, or concerns? Alrighty, and do I need to make a motion, Patrick, for
Yes.
approval?
Yep.
Okay,
Second.
excellent, thank you. No, the yays have it, and I don't hear a nay, so we are definitely approving last month's minutes. Okay, thank you everyone for your patience. This month we have a special guest speaker. We've got Paige Freezer, correct, Paige? Beezer, I had it right the first time. She is with Mamava Lactation Pods, and we are definitely acquiring a lot of more data and information to present to the commission. One of our primary objectives this year to share out with the community and our council is to get the approval for lactation pods and increase the family-centered, but most importantly, health-centered breastfeeding initiative for the state of South Carolina. And we would like to absolutely welcome Paige with Mamava so she can present and give us some information about the lactation pods. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Paige.
Thanks so much, Trisha. And yeah, my name is Paige Feezer. I use she, her pronouns. I am a government account executive with Mamava. I joined the company in 2023. Prior to that, I had spent the last 9 years previously helping patient advocates and concerned citizens in taking action to protect their reproductive freedom in Vermont. And now here at Mamava, I'm so excited to be supporting state and local government and military units and figuring out lactation spaces for employees as well as public spaces. And more importantly, the thing I love about this job is helping lactivists advocate for these needed accommodations. I still live in Vermont, and I live with my husband and my two wonderful children, Homer as well as Bee. So speaking of stories, just wanted to quickly share Mamava's story. And it really just started, when fed up with pumping in bathrooms and other borrowed spaces, Sasha Meyer and Christine Dodson, who were colleagues at a design studio in Burlington, Vermont, they had teamed up to solve a problem that was largely invisible to most of society, the lack of lactation spaces in both workplaces as well as public spaces. They ended up installing their first lactation pod at the Burlington International Airport in 2013. And flash forward to 11 years later, we have pods all over the globe, and we have pods, over 5,000 pods all around mostly in the US, but around the globe as well. And, our company is very much mission-based. Our goal is to create a healthier society through infrastructure and support for breastfeeding. And speaking of which, I think it's really important that we just level set for a hot minute and talk about the current state of breastfeeding overall in the US and touch a little bit on base about what is being done in South Carolina in terms of policy. So just some important stats here, over 3.6 million babies are born every year, and through a lot of public health efforts, the rate of mothers initiating breastfeeding at birth is going up. So it's 83%. That being said, there still is a gap between those that initiate breastfeeding at birth to those who are exclusively breastfed up until 6 months. And from a research, medical, and public health point of view, there are so many benefits for breastfeeding whenever possible. So many benefits for child, for mother, and for public health overall. And another way of looking at it is from an economic viewpoint. The US would actually save $17.2 billion annually if 90% of mothers breastfed to at least 6 months. So there's a really big impetus from a lot of different angles to help increase breastfeeding in the US. Um, and one thing I wanted to also share is that Mamava partners with the globally renowned breast pump company Medela to issue a state of breastfeeding survey. So this year we asked around 3,000 breastfeeding parents about their experiences, workplaces, and challenges. One of the big things I wanted to highlight, particularly in terms of this conversation of increasing lactation-based infrastructure for the city of Charleston, is looking at attitudes towards public spaces. And as you can see under the circle, the big circle, public spaces need to level up lactation space infrastructure. So 81% of parents have pumped or nursed in their car. 55% don't feel supported in public places, and 2 out of 3 are more likely to visit a public space with a lactation space. And at Mamava, we can see that really clearly, especially at places like museums and zoos that have placed lactation spaces like Mamava pods. We can see on our app that all the words of support that mothers have left, particularly about museums and zoos, things like, I had no idea this was here, or I came here because this lactation space was here. I was able to actually have a great time today. So that public space can really make a big difference. So with that in mind, talking about the positive impact that breastfeeding has for mom and child, certainly, and the overall impact to overall public health, there are federal and state level protections that are being put in place to help protect a person's right to start and continue their breastfeeding journey. One big one I just wanted to note was the Federal Pump Act, which is the expansion to the previous FLSA law that extends lactation accommodation protections to all breastfeeding employees. And this was passed in 2022. And this has been really changing the game, particularly with lactation spaces within workplaces. So this expands who is covered under these protections. Employers are required to provide a lactation space that is not a bathroom and is free from intrusion. Employees are to be guaranteed of time to pump. And the really big thing with the Pump Act is that it gives this law teeth, enforcement teeth. So if an employee does not have their needs met as required under this law, they can file a formal complaint. If after 10 days the employer fails to comply, the employee has the right to sue their employer for not following the laws. So we have seen an exponential increase in the number of lawsuits that have been filed, but there still is a lot of work to be done. One thing that Mamava really takes pride in is carefully watching state level lactation laws to see how states are protecting breastfeeding parents. And we've created this drop system and showing, where are the states that are going above and beyond the Pump Act and which ones are just, staying with just the Pump Act. And as you can see, states like California, Virginia, New York are passing additional laws that have, additional guidance about, what needs to be in the lactation space for workers, to how big does the company have to be before they are beholden to follow this type of law. In South Carolina, you have a right to breastfeed in public. And then there's also the South Carolina Pregnancy Accommodations Act that mandates employers with 15 or more employees must ensure their workplaces provide reasonable accommodations to employees with medical needs arising from pregnancy, childbirth, or related medical conditions, including lactation. So definitely South Carolina is moving in the right direction. Okay. So when I had the pleasure of speaking with Trisha and Amy and Sarah from the South Carolina Breastfeeding Coalition last week, we talked a lot about, there's not a one size fit all approach to providing lactation spaces. That being said, the vision would, at least from Mamava's perspective, would be to create a Mamava ecosystem with the goal of supporting breastfeeding parents who are on the go, no matter where they are in Charleston, with this idea that, no matter where a mom is, that they can have a consistent experience in finding and accessing lactation spaces. The benefit with Mamava is that we have a dedicated Mamava app that can be a real resource to parents. So the Mamava app is utilized by 70,000 people every month. And it's a really great tool for moms or parents on the go. So some of the benefits of the Mamava app, number one, it's free. So anyone can download it. That's awesome. Number two is that no matter where a parent is, they can go into the Mamava app, type in their location, and they can get a list of Mamava provided pods and rooms, but also they can also see lactation spaces that have been registered on the app. And there are actually so many more registered lactation spaces than there are Mamava pods, which is really kind of cool. So it's really a great resource for all. So they can find a lactation space. They can also use the app, especially if they're looking for a Mamava pod. They can actually see if the pod is occupied or vacant. So if they're doing something and they don't have time to walk to the pod, they can just go in the app and see if the pod is occupied. And then if it is, they can get a push notification of when the pod becomes available again. The other really cool thing, and from a facilities perspective is really huge, is that the user can use the Bluetooth on their phone to unlock the pod or the room. And we'll talk about what that looks like, so that they can have this autonomous access and facilities can ensure that this is a dedicated space for lactation. The other really cool thing from the app is that users can make adjustments, particularly in pods. So you can do things like play letdown music to help create a less stressful atmosphere inside the pod. And the other cool amenity is that thousands of women and parents every day use the app to write words of support. And it could be, wow, this was such a lifesaver, to you got this, mama. And a lot of parents really use this to find community in going through, breastfeeding, which is definitely not the easiest thing to do. So with that in mind, Mamava makes its products with three audiences in mind. Number one, of course, is our breastfeeding parents. And we do that because there's a direct correlation showing that milk expression increases when mothers are relaxed. And so our pods are designed to create a serene, calm environment. So we think of everything like the lighting, the fan giving enough white noise, our graphics that we place inside the pod. We want to make sure that it's privacy. When we talk to users, the two biggest things that they care the most about are, number one, privacy, and number two, cleanliness. So we design our pods with the same materials that you would see in a medical exam room. They're easy to clean, they're not going to absorb stains or odors or create a breeding ground for bacteria. From a facilities perspective, we want to make it as easy as possible for facilities to provide a lactation space. And then, in addition to that simplicity, we think a lot about flexibility. When we think of normal lactation rooms, they take up a lot of premium space, a lot of days in terms of architecture. Designers are required to actually think of a room and for multiple different uses. And so with that in mind, when it comes to lactation rooms, especially in some of these older buildings, it's one of the first spaces that are given up to be repurposed for other things. By providing things like pods and our other products, we want to provide facilities an option that can move and change as the facilities needs change. And then lastly, culture is a really big thing. We are very conscious about creating products that celebrate breastfeeding and bring it into public attention. We create that iconic rounded shape and graphics so that people want to ask questions. What is that? What is that for? Oh, wow, it's for breastfeeding. That's such a great idea. And pod by pod, we're creating more and more support for breastfeeding parents. So let's take a quick look at each of our pods. And I've picked out some of our products that I think would work really great in creating that Mamava ecosystem that we were talking about. So certainly in terms of pods, for public-facing pods, Mamava definitely recommends our Mamava XL. This is our wheelchair accessible model. The floor is flush with the floor of the facility, and it allows for a person using a wheelchair to enter into the pod. And once they're inside the pod, they have 60 inches of turnaround space. In addition to really serving people that are using wheelchairs, this is a really nice accommodation for families. I know Tricia was telling me that Charleston is really a family-friendly destination. So for families, this pod is a real lifesaver because families can essentially bring in everyone into this pod. Another really big thing is a place to place your stroller. So being able to bring your stroller into the pod is a huge deal. And then you have this really nice wide ergonomic cushion seat that's comfortable for mom, outlets to plug in. And then depending on where you're looking to serve, there is another outlet here. If you wanted to place if you wanted to place an appliance like a fridge there, you could. This pod has dimmable lights. It has fans for air circulation. As I noted before, with that smart access to the app, this pod and actually all of our pods come standard with our smart lock on the door of the pod. Again, keeps out unintended audiences and allows moms and families to find this location. And the other really cool thing about our pods is that they have caster wheels for easy relocation if the space no longer works at the time being. The other really cool thing about the RXL pods is that they're our most customizable. So if Charleston was really looking for an opportunity to make these pods really shine with Charleston's look and feel, we can definitely support with that. So we have like our built to order graphics, choosing one of our existing pre-designed designs with the logo on the door. Or we can definitely support with full customized pods with exterior graphics as well as interior graphics here. So you have some options on how you want these pods to look and feel out in the city. The other pod I wanted to note that may be worth considering is our Mamava Flex. This is our mid-size option. It's not wheelchair accessible, but it does provide 24 square feet for parent as well as potentially another family member if they have someone in tow. This may be better for smaller public spaces where an XL might not fit. So here you go. It is actually a really roomy pod with 24 square feet inside. So a lot of the same amenities here with ledge access for pumping, additional seating if needed, this nice cushioned ergonomic seat here as well. So those would be the two top pods I would recommend. Now, in some other situations, you may have buildings that already have an existing lactation room. There is an opportunity to add those rooms to Mamava's ecosystem with Mamava Varoom. So essentially, Varoom is the same smart lock set that's on our pods. We now make them available for lactation rooms. So some of the same benefits as to our pods, you would have the locks would connect to our app, so users could unlock the room using our app. You could get quarterly data reports to see how well this room is being used. And, you know, again, helping making it as easy as possible for users access a room or a pod, you know, regardless of what it is. And then last but not least, something that I shared last week with the team is Mamava has created a new prototype of a Mamava breastfeeding bench. And this could be a really great opportunity to place this in several different areas. You know, we want to think very thoughtfully of where this would make most sense. But this would be a wonderful asset for the city in terms of having a clear space for branding, for advertising. As you can see, it's got the screen on the side of the bench that can broadcast different advertising. We can definitely talk about customizing the interior and exterior. But in addition to serving breastfeeding parents, this may be really great in public spaces to serve more than just breastfeeding parents. Maybe there's a person that may need a space to sit. And so this could be, again, one of a diversity of different solutions to meet the various needs of parents throughout the city. So those would be like the four products that I would consider for this project for Charleston. One of the things I did over the weekend was kind of take a look at the map of Charleston and kind of show you where we're at and where you could possibly take this project. So here you can see on the map, these locations here are where there are existing Mamava lactation pods. The places in purple are the spaces that are registered on Mamava's app that are not a Mamava pod, but they are actual lactation spaces, and so should be taken seriously. In this kind of I don't know what color that would be, but this other color are potential locations that may be worth considering either the placement of a pod or a Mamava bench. Trisha so thoughtfully walked me through the Low Country Rapid Transit route that is being designed. I think this could be a really great opportunity to provide accessible lactation spaces, either it being a bench or pods that are, you know, really meet the needs of both your tourists as well as everyday residents. So definitely something to consider. But I think there's a lot of places like the visitor center, existing municipal buildings like the public library, the city hall, the community centers, the courthouses are some other common places where other municipalities have placed with the goal of serving the needs of their community. Um, in addition, some other kind of sites, the Halsey Institute of Contemporary Art seemed like a potentially good location because it's free to all residents. You want to think about placement from a place of equity, and that, do you have to pay to get into places? How near is it to a bus stop? I also noted the Charleston City Market, the Great Hall being a potential option. You have also on this end the Citadel Mall and the DMV in Charleston and the DMV in North Charleston here. So I think there's a lot of different options available that may make a really great comprehensive lactation space infrastructure. And then certainly there are some pockets here where in a quick research, I didn't notice a lot, but I'm sure that with your combined wisdom in the room, you can identify potential locations here as like, how do we serve the needs of all residents and tourists? Um, and then I did just want to end here. Everyone I've spoken with about this project so far all mentioned the Charleston pod. So I did want to share some pictures. This is quite the popular pod. In fact, at in my company, a lot of my coworkers and their friends and family fly through your airport. And so we get lots of pictures, pods in the wild pictures of this pod. So I wanted just to share it here. So this, of course, is one of our older XLs, and it has the hard bench, which is, great pod, well-serving, long-time pod. And we'd be excited to share kind of our update of the XL with our new cushioned ergonomic seat. So that's all I have, team. Let me pause here. Is there any questions I could help answer?
Where are these manufactured?
Oh, excellent question. We make them right in Vermont. So my offices are in Burlington, Vermont, and then we manufacture our pods in Springfield, Vermont, which is about 2 hours south.
I have a question about the registered lactation sites that are on the Mamava site. So those are separate from the Varoom situation, and those are just registered sites. How does a place become a registered site on the Mamava app?
Excellent question. So our users can actually on the apps say, I've actually found a lactation space. They can fill out a quick form, and then our team actually reaches out to that location to fully vet and make sure that it meets the quality and accessibility of a lactation space. And then only then will we add it to the great question.
Good, because that was one of the things that we've talked about as a commission of creating lactation spaces separate from the potential of the Mamava, but where else can we create these spaces for lactation to occur? So thank you for explaining.
Yeah, and I definitely think there's a real opportunity. We talk a lot with public health departments. One of the things we always say, like, not even talking about buying our product, one of the best things that they can do that's completely free is doing a survey out in the community. Who out there, what businesses do you all offer lactation accommodations? Let's get it into the app, the Mamava app. It costs nothing to do, and it's definitely a really big help to residents.
Great presentation. Any more questions? This is
Quick
definitely
to
open
follow up to
discussion.
that page, just very quickly, we discussed with Sarah last week about South Carolina's website. I believe, Trish, you mentioned that earlier before Paige started talking. Have you guys talked at all about sharing data and how to do that? Or is that still a future discussion?
Yeah, so I would say that we are unable to share our API information, but the benefit of our app is that we do feature you can get all the information you need from our app. And so if you wanted to take the information that's on our app and put it into the South Carolina Breastfeeding Coalition's program, you're absolutely welcome to do that for sure.
Okay, so it's a matter of Trish figuring out how to do that then. Okay, in our proposal. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Question about use in Charleston. Do you have any documentation, any data on how frequently it's used? The one, for example, at the airport, if that's been there a while.
Yes, we do have data. And let me check in with my team. What I'm happy to do is like we can pull like the last quarter report just to get a sense, like a snapshot in time. How often is this accommodation being used? One of the opportunities that we have with the pods as well as Vroom, well, at least with the pods, with the purchase of any of our service plan, it includes our quarterly usage reports. So that could be a really incredible tool.
Right.
And then Vroom comes with two quarterly usage reports with them. We just launched that product in June, so we're kind of figuring out like what's the next step after your two first quarterly reports. So I'll get back to you on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a great question.
I know you guys have questions. We've got a full 7 minutes. None? Okay.
Well, I guess Trish, you had sent over, just to kind of follow up with everyone else, you had sent over the proposal a while ago. It was really just talking about the XL pod, I'm assuming, price-wise, price point. And after talking with Paige, it seems like there could be multiple options, and that
Mhm.
map was really nice. So how do you want to go forward with that, Trish, to find what you called an ecosystem as opposed to just a couple of random pods? Yeah.
Well, definitely after we get some more info, because I know the quote I got basically was from ranging from 12,000 to 25,000 per unit, and I think we were initiating from a phase one investment of 5 to 7 units. And a total investment for that would be a maximum of 150,000. But a little bit more detail in that, on those numbers is probably what I would be reaching out. Well, I will be reaching out with Paige, especially now with the new bench and how that can be included in some of the or some of the vision. And that page and the location that Paige actually created was really nice too, because they really didn't think about the music hall. And I didn't really know about the Bees Ferry Recreation
Yeah.
Center.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know that collectively, as a commission, we did talk about recreation centers, ball fields, and parks, but to specifically label them, I think that was very helpful, and I will take that a little bit more in focus. But yes, I think the numbers naturally will be the next step to see, okay, what do the numbers look like in the event of a quantity, if we bought 10 or if we bought 15, or how does that work if there's a discount rate? Is there a discount rate for municipalities or colleges or universities? I know that Dr. Fugo is on and she's with the College of Charleston. So maybe there's an opportunity there and also Dr. Bolt with the Citadel. I mean, we've got a lot of educators in our space, and it would be a really nice opportunity to also partnership with some of those facilities and some of those universities that are here local, because they
Yeah.
have a mass amount of both administration and also students.
Mm.
And my other thought, real quick, too, is I know you're talking about it being equitable, so no cost to be able to access them. But in terms of our park system, granted, that is, you do have to pay, it's $2, but
Okay.
thinking in terms, because Charleston has a massive the Charleston County Park system is extensive.
Oh, okay.
One of the most extensive systems I've seen in a community, and the amount of people that access those spaces. I would be curious or inclined to see if there could be a partnership with the county parks. Just the sheer volume of people who utilize them, everything from the beaches to the pier to inland, like it covers all of our communities, and so many community members use it and access it, and also so many visitors do as well. So not sure if there's funding on their side in terms of grants, etc., to be able to partner that, or even the library system, right?
Yeah.
We have a really extensive system here too. I think Denise is raising her hand.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to, excellent presentation.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to recommend, I can be of help because I'm working with a bunch of the developers that actually own the different malls that are left. And once you guys are ready, I'll put you in contact with them. And I also serve on the CARTA Advisory Committee. And I actually think maybe that's a presentation you might want to make to CARTA. Because we have a lot of our working women are taking the bus. And we do have 2 bus stations at Mary Street as well as at the Super Stop. So I think we could look at what's going on there as well. And then I am at the college. Honestly, I don't see many pregnant women here with babies at all. So I think there might be, possibly at Trident, we could study Trident a little bit more, but here at the College of Charleston, I don't think, dogs we see, babies we don't. Okay. So, but I'll help you any way that I can.
Awesome. I will also note, one of the couple of things, I love how you're all thinking about partnerships. Because I think with partnerships, there could be a lot of potential collaboration and funding opportunities. One of the things that Mamava sees very commonly is working with public health departments. And so this intentional effort to create lactation space infrastructure is really in line with the state's goals in increasing breastfeeding outcomes and infant health rates. That was very ineloquently said. I recognize that. So they may have federal dollars that could be put towards this project if it's in line with their goals. I would say the other big thing, and I mentioned this to Trisha in another conversation, is really bringing in your economic development group in this opportunity. Charleston is going through a lot of economic growth. In fact, the Economic Development Organization, CRDA, I believe, announced that they have like a 5-year economic development plan to help make Charleston improving Charleston's ability to be a great place for people to live, work, and play. And so the idea that, you have residents that are working in all different, levels of roles, having lactation spaces for those employee families can be a really big opportunity for that group to meet its goals as well. So.
Thank you. That was a great reminder. And now I've got it noted.
I have to bounce.
Yes. I'm sorry, say that one more time, Kate.
I said I gotta go on the hour.
Okay.
Oh.
All right. Anything else? Any other questions, concerns? Excellent presentation. Thank you everyone for making quorum, and we got this recorded. And then follow-ups for sure on putting all this data together, and a lot of resources and URLs I'll share out in an email along with the original draft and then some additional information. And
Excellent.
it's straight up 5 o'clock. And thank you so much, Paige. We appreciate you coming on and your patience. And thank you, everyone. You guys have a wonderful evening and a great week ahead. And I will talk to you all via email.
Thank you,
Thank you so much,
Paige. It was
Tricia.
really good.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, everybody.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
You too. Bye, everyone.